Good day, everyone. Thank you very, very much for joining us today on this platform. I'm so excited. I didn't believe that we'll start today with these numbers. I'm so excited. Thank you very, very much. I'm also pleased to tell you that we have a special guest here with us, and he's an expert in his field. He's going to be sharing today with us his expert opinion on advertising strategies to help companies reposition during and post COVID-19. He's the group CEO of Prima Garnet and a world-class advertising and marketing company. He's very vast. He was a former APCON chairman and he's also a pastor. Please help me welcome Mr. Lolu Akinwunmi. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the generous introduction.
Thank you very much. We are really excited to have you here because I know a lot of people have different questions. We've been able to capture some of these questions so that you can use your expertise to put us through so that we understand better what's the need for us. Okay, sir, first of all, I know most people want to know more about you. Please, can you just introduce yourself? Thank you.
Okay, well, first of all, Nancy, let me thank you for inviting me to this program. Well, you've done half the introduction, so I'll just complete the other half. Let me start by saying advertising is all that I have ever done. I've been in marketing communication all my life, and I started in 1982 in an agency known as Lintas Lagos. And a couple of years later, I moved to another agency, 1988. And then in 1992, we started Prima Garnet. I've done a few things in between. I became the AAAN president in 2007. AAAN is the Association of Advertising Agencies of Nigeria. And in 2008, the government appointed me the Pioneer Secretary and later CEO of the Nigerian Rebranding Project. And I worked with the late Professor Dora Akoyili, who was the Information Minister. Then in 2010, government appointed me again as APCON chairman, and I served in that capacity till 2015. I was on the board of Ogilvy Africa for about 7 or 8 years, and I had the responsibility for English-speaking West Africa. The Prima Garnet Africa group has many companies, and I'm the group CEO. I also sit on a couple of other boards like Charm Switch, Premier Music, and a couple of others. I'm married to a lawyer, and we have 2 boys. I think that's enough for introduction.
Thank you very much. Okay, sir, as a guru in the advertising space, what inspired you to go into advertising? I'd like to know, sir.
Well, first of all, I'm a little, I don't think I qualify to be a guru. Nigeria has just 2 gurus. There's the one that sits at the end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Ibadan end of it. And then there's the owner of Globacom. So let's leave those 2 with that title of guru. I think we have enough gurus between those 2. What inspired me to go into advertising? I studied English in the university, and my plan initially had been to do an MBA at the City University in London, but for some reason that idea was set aside, and I joined Lintas in 1992. Lintas in 1982. I'd always been interested in advertising as a profession because when I was in the university, I went to Lintas with my friend and saw his uncle. And then I also felt that with my background in the liberal arts, advertising would just be fine. Prima Garnet started in 1992, January 6, as a full-service marketing communication company. Then it was just Prima Garnet. And then over the next couple of years, we added other services that we branded into companies as the needs arose. We've worked on many, many clients. I mean, I can't even begin to mention them here. I mean, clients, you know, Nigerian Breweries, Airtel, Coca Cola, KLM, mentioned them, you know, quite a few, many banks. At some point, we had about 12 or 13 bank clients. I mean, it was just amazing. We're a member of the AAAN. AAAN is the Trade Association of Advertising Agencies of Nigeria. And mandatorily, we're also members of APCON. And APCON is the Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria, a parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Information. We are also, I would like to say this very proudly, that we are members of the Convention for Business Integrity, which is a very, very important organization indeed. So I think I can wrap all of this up by saying that I went into advertising to fulfill a long-time ambition.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, part of advertising characteristics is brand loyalty. Can you please tell us the importance of continuous adverts in our brand? Brand
loyalty. Well, that's one word that we hear almost every other day. Brand. It's a critical factor because the brand is the most important asset that any organization has. The people are important, the equipment we have are important, but if you ask the owners of Coca Cola, they will tell you that their most important asset, brand asset, is the Coca Cola drink. And so what is brand loyalty? Brand loyalty occurs when a customer chooses to repeatedly purchase a product or service by the same company instead of a substitute brand, maybe from competition. Let me give one or two examples. Some people will always buy Coca Cola instead of Pepsi. Some will buy Nike instead of Adidas. Many will bank with GT Bank, maybe instead of Fidelity, and so on and so forth. All of these are because customers, if you like, consumers, have a level of loyalty to these brands, and many things really for brand loyalty. There are many reasons why a customer would feel very loyal to a brand. It could have been from certain experience, maybe an ordinary telephone call. Somebody calls a bank and he's not well treated, and from that day, he's no longer loyal to the brand and all that. But essentially, this is what brand loyalty is about.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir, we would like to know what's the difference between online adverts and traditional adverts, because I know some people mistake the both advert platforms. So what's the difference?
What's the difference between online and traditional advertising? Let me change, with your kind permission, let me change that word online to digital advertising. I think it's more appropriate and more contemporary. And both of them are different. And because we don't have all the time in the world, I'll simply classify traditional advertising as those that use the following media: TV, radio, print, newspapers, magazines, out of home, or if you like, outdoor, flyers, conventional, forms of advertising or traditional forms of advertising. Digital advertising is more contemporary, and is the platform for the, if you like, for the global village. And the internet has given it tremendous influence and impact on the whole world. It's just amazing. Digital marketing would include stuff like SEO, which is the search engine optimization, like Google. You'd have social media like Facebook, like Twitter, like Instagram. You'd have business networking sites like LinkedIn. You would also have promotional ads via emails, then blogs, paid pop-up ads, and so on and so forth. It's almost endless. Every other day, something new is coming up in the digital space. So those are essentially some of the, in terms of use, in terms of differentiation, those are some of the differences between digital and traditional advertising.
How is a business person able to balance both?
How are you able to balance the two if you were going to use the services?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a very good question. It will depend, of course, on your marketing. I mean, if I take myself to be a client, looking after my brand and working with a good agency, it would, of course, depend on my marketing or communication objectives. I mean, everything starts from here. Why am I in the business? What is my plan for my brand? It's a fairly interesting process. First of all, of course, you put your strategy together. Then from your strategy, you develop your plans and so on and all that. Many clients, back to your question, many clients actually try globally to combine the two, the traditional and digital forms of advertising. And it's very interesting that in the last couple of years, year in, year out, digital has been taking more of the activities and budgets from traditional advertising without any doubt. And this trend is likely to continue. It will be essential to it will also be important to fully determine the brand profile, your brand profile. It doesn't matter what kind of brand you have or you're looking after. It's critical to determine your brand profile and your target audience. All of this would help determine which of the two forms of advertising would take care of your needs. And of course, you'd need to look at the sets of activities that you're interested in and the budget also. All of those are important. But inevitably, digital is less expensive. I mean, if you compare the two, and reaches more people. But for us, marketing practitioners, it offers one advantage that traditional advertising isn't quite in a position to offer, and that is the fact that digital is a lot easier to measure in terms of effectiveness, in terms of return on investment, and in terms of cost per thousand. So digital is a space that many brands and many brand owners appear to sit more comfortably in.
Based on the COVID-19 pandemic that's caused the world to pause, we want to know how has this affected advertising when it comes to a business? So there are a lot of companies right now, there's a pause and they don't know, they're confused. With the COVID-19, should we continue advertising? Should we stop? What do we do?
Okay, let me spend a bit of time on this because it is what is trending all over the world, and it's been nice to say a couple of things about it. And I'm going to go beyond advertising. I'm going to take marketing as a discipline. The entire world continues to battle growing casualty numbers. Even here in Nigeria, I think we've almost reached the 2,000 number in terms of casualties. Hopefully, two states and Abuja will end lockdown sometime on Monday, but we're going into curfew, so which is another form of clever lockdown for us, actually. Global business has been affected. Hotels are closed, locked, airports, no aircraft is flying. But for us in Nigeria, and I'm bringing this to the local environment, even before the COVID-19 outbreak, the outlook for the economy. Nigeria, global economy, developing countries was fragile, quite weak, as global GDP growth was estimated at that time, by the end of 2020, to be about 2.5%. Unfortunately for us, Nigeria's weak health system capacity may exacerbate the situation and further dampen the economy. Nobody knows how well we're able to manage a full-blown pandemic. We don't know what's going to happen. We are hoping it won't happen, but if it does happen, nobody knows whether we have the capacity to manage it. And inevitably, many businesses will suffer because of the lockdown and because of the absence of global trading during the period, as many countries shut down. But even the almighty, if I use the word, almighty United States shut its gates, shut its doors to everybody else. And because marketing is part of business and it is being affected and will suffer more serious casualty, it is inevitable. But first, let's look at Nigeria's macroeconomic performance and outlook. Our real GDP growth, sorry, let me bore you with all of this, okay? It's an area that I'm very interested in. Our real GDP growth was estimated sometime in 2019 at about 2.3%, marginally higher than the 1.9% that we had in 2018. Growth was mainly in transport sector, information, telecoms, and all. Agric was doing well until we began to be affected by flooding and conflict between herdsmen and the local farmers, and so on and so forth. Manufacturing continues to suffer from lack of financing and infrastructure, and so on and so forth. If you put it together, our final household consumption was the key driver of growth in 2019, reinforcing its 1.1% contribution to real GDP of 2018. Now, the government effort to lower inflation to between 6 and I think 8% faced structural and macroeconomic constraints. There were all kinds of problems, including rising food prices and arrears in the payment of our debt, resulting in something that left us at about 11.3% for 2019. So what are the effects generally? If you look at the fact that our fiscal revenues are below 7% of our GDP, increased public spending, of course, widened the deficit, and we were mainly financing all of this by borrowing, and the situation has not changed. And so at the end of June 2019, for example, total public debt was about 83 billion, nearly 84 billion US dollars, which is huge, 14.6% higher than 2018. Now, the debt represented 20.1% of our GDP, up from 17% in 2018. Domestic public debt stood at about $56 billion, and the rest, about $27 billion or thereabout. We will continue to have issues. I need to give you this background before I answer. We need to have issues because we are going to have high debt service repayment at more than maybe half of our federally collected revenues, creating a lot of fiscal risk for us. The current account surplus, of course, our current account surplus declined due to increased imports, lower oil revenues, and a smaller than expected improvement in capital expectations. Now, let me stop all of these jargons. Now, the total and net effect of all of this on our businesses and on business generally, especially during this COVID period and even post-COVID period, is that while, for example, telcos may appear to be doing well, inevitably they'll be affected. Everybody's going to be affected. A time will come whether you want to buy a recharge card or food. And if you look at what happened in Venezuela, a net exporter of oil like Nigeria, then you can know that anything can happen in Nigeria. And so against this background, the marketing industry may suffer serious reverses. I mean, I can't imagine what work the agencies want to do when our clients are not looking too good. And secondly, a marketing communication industry, the prognosis for us is very bleak, because when our clients sneeze, normally when our clients sneeze, we catch a cold. And right now they are not sneezing, they have a fully developed flu. What we have, I don't even know, whatever we're going to have. So what will be the overall effect? Clients and agency may have to cut budgets, it's inevitable. If clients don't have anything to advertise, if the brands are not busy, if production is maybe at 40% of installed capacity and all that, this will affect welfare, this will affect salaries. If no income is coming into the agency, for example, some agencies may retrain. All kinds of things, are likely to happen. But the general conclusion is that COVID-19 has made worse a bad situation, especially for Nigeria, and where it will end, we don't know. Well, we all know from what the IMF, all of them are saying, that by second quarter of next year, our economy should begin to recover. But between now and then, I think we just have to keep our fingers crossed.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, sir, in no doubt, like you said, that a lot of businesses will need to start cutting their loss right now. So as a business expert, what strategies do you think we can be displaying right now towards when we're working towards recovering?
What can we do to recover? Number one, it depends on the business, the kind of business that you operate. Many businesses will have to, no doubt, any serious business will have to go through a considerable restructuring process. They have to re-image their operating their operating models. They need to severely cut costs too. Nobody needs to teach you that if the income is not coming in, if the revenue is flat or even negative, then you need to cut costs. For the marketing communication industry, which is where I operate, digital is going to be the new deal, and you don't need a big agency anymore, the monolithic agency, to play in this space. The competition also is going to heighten. Anderson Consulting, PwC, all of these people are already playing strongly in the digital space. Sadly, many businesses will retrench, like I mentioned earlier, to enable them manage, the critical period. They also need to look out of their core areas. This is the time where you need to, if all you were doing before was advertising, what else do you think you have the skills to do, or can you buy or borrow the skills? Can you move out of your core area of competence and invest in other businesses? Services are going to be hotly in demand after COVID-19 is over. Do you want to look at what area of service you can invest in and meet the urgent needs that are likely to follow? Cash is going to be tight. So all of the companies that have a lot of cash stored away are going to be kings.
It's 6:30.
And no doubt, many companies will have to borrow and all that. Generally, that is the kind of situation that we're looking at.
Okay, sir. All right. So I know there is one clarity I really want to know now that I know that is a lot of business owners' mind. So I just advising us that we should keep being on our customers' faces, in as much as we know that yes, the incomes are not coming in. So should I keep advertising just to let me be at their faces, or I can pause and start it later? What do you advise?
It's a very difficult one. It's a very difficult one indeed. Should companies advertise or should companies not advertise during this pandemic period? But the conventional wisdom will probably tell you that if businesses don't have the services or the goods to offer, then most of them will not advertise. I mean, there is no point in your advertising creating demand that you cannot meet. I mean, that is out of the question. On the other hand, I would advise certain categories of clients not to cut out advertising entirely. Let them not be silent. We have a case study, and let me mention it quickly. Many years ago, when Nigeria had, during the days of import licensing, a long time ago, and prior to then, Ovaltine was a leading brand in Nigeria, doing extremely well. And then the import license regime came, and it affected everybody. And Ovaltine, I mean, from the case study details we had access to then, cut out advertising entirely. But its two principal competitors continued to advertise Bonvita, which I worked on, and Milo. And when the bad era was was over and the good times came, many people simply didn't remember Ovaltine. I mean, it's just amazing. Bonvita and Milo that had put some investment behind their brands during the period reaped this. So it's a tough one. At the very least, I would advise clients that, look, even if you are not doing brand advertising because you can't create demand that you cannot meet, try and run some sort of reminder. We call them reminder ads. Make them even corporate ads, if you like. Limit them to the digital space because that is cheaper. But don't be totally silent. I wouldn't advise you to be totally silent.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. Okay, sir. Another question wants to know, what are some of the common mistakes companies make when choosing an advert platform? I know most people.
Sorry, common mistakes.
Yes, businesses choose because some are coming, they just pick any advert, but it doesn't go in line with their business. So those are some of them. So what other, because I'm sure you've been in the field, so you would have known what people do and how you advise them that, no, this is the best way to package your business.
See, most mistakes happen because many clients, not all clients, many clients don't conduct enough research, or because they have a weak or wrong strategy. In between these two ends, you'll find the mistakes. It's amazing, and we find this again and again and again. I remember in 1992, 1993 January, when we took Crystal Bank to CNN. We became the first Nigerian agency to run a financial services campaign on international medium like CNN. And it was very good for Crystal Bank. Within 4 months, we received about 12 briefs from other Nigerian banks. And as soon as we got to their offices, there was no written brief. There was no serious brief. All they wanted to do was just do for us what you did for Crystal Bank. And they couldn't understand if we said, look, yeah, this is not a brief. We got a full brief from Crystal Bank. We know why Crystal wanted to go to CNN. Why do you want to go to CNN? And they simply felt we were speaking too much grammar. Just do it for them and all that and all that. And some of those mistakes still happen today when clients, they don't do enough research. They don't have an up-to-date knowledge of their clients and customers. Many clients want to copy what competition is doing because it's working for competition without actually knowing what is driving the competitive activities. And many clients also don't listen to professional opinions from their agencies because sometimes they believe that they know more. So if you aggregate all of this, they end up making mistakes. Some of the mistakes are okay, but quite a few of them are very, very serious and very expensive mistakes. So I mean, these are some of the common mistakes, and I'll advise anyone, if you have gone the trouble of choosing to work with an agency partner, then let them do their work. Sometimes we are amazed, we make a presentation to a client and he says, I don't like it. I can't, and a few times we tell them that this proposal is not for you. It's not for the marketing manager, it's not for the brand manager, it's not for the marketing director. It's for that consumer there in Ado-Ekiti, in Ilorin, in Kano, in Jeba. And if you don't like it, it cannot be because you think you are going to be the recipient. Let's pretest the ad. Let's pretest the concept. Let's see if it flows. If the people we are targeting, if they understand it, I think these are the things we should do. And in most cases, when these are not done, is why you have some of the mistakes that many clients make.
Okay. All right, sir. Also, we want to know, now let's talk about repositioning. Most people want to know, what do we do post-COVID? How do we hit the ground and run? Because we know now we are back with full force. How do we hit the ground so that we're not coming in and we're not using the right?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Can you hear me?
How do we do what?
Okay, so my question is that let's talk about repositioning companies after post-COVID.
Okay,
so how do we ground and run? What do you advise?
Yeah, I mean, some of it I already mentioned. I mean, we're already inside COVID-19. Maybe with luck, some organizations are going to start operating from Monday or Tuesday, but it's so uncertain, we don't know. And we're praying, number one, that we don't have a spike such as they have had in places like everywhere, Germany, Ghana. If we don't experience such a spike, then we can begin to say that maybe we can plan better and everybody can relax better. But until then, I think it's fairly straightforward. Begin to use the opportunity to review your strategy. Whatever you worked on between the last quarter of 2019 in terms of preparing for 2020, you need to review it completely, just as Nigeria itself as a country has had to, review its own budget as well. Business and the way it's conducted can never ever be the same again. Everything, all of the rules we know, most of them are going to be changed for life. We're going to have to reposition. Many companies will be working from home. In the last 1 month, I can't believe this would actually happen. We've operated from home and we've operated, reasonably efficiently. So these are some of the things we are going to do. But post-COVID, it's going to be extremely difficult to predict from this point because we don't know. I mean, there are certain things that we know. Nigeria is going to keep borrowing. We've just accepted another 3.7 billion or thereabout. Oil is not selling. Maybe it's $8 per barrel today, and which means that enough money is not coming into the economy. The government is the biggest spender. Is the one that reflects the economy, and if the government itself is having such a tough time, then all of this is going to flow down the line. I think we just have to take it one step at a time. This is one of the periods where you can't plan long. You can't plan for 12 months ahead. You'll be lucky to be able to plan for 6 months ahead. We don't know what's going to happen. We'll take it one step at a time. But we already have some learnings. We know, for example, that you have to reduce your cost. You have to do so many things. If you put all of those aside, outside of those, it's going to be difficult. We don't know what's going to happen.
So, sir, what word of encouragement do you have for all of us?
Look, let me add a little bit to your last question. You know, I hate to say so, but you know, it's going to leave a lot of casualty in its wake. Many organizations are not going to survive it. A lot of shops, you know, offices, businesses are going to shut down. But we must stand in agreement in one area. That for as long as Nigeria is a continuum, for as long as businesses will come and businesses will go, for as long as the world has not come to an end, there will always be new opportunities during crisis periods. All we need to do is to seek them out. One of the examples I like to give is during the Prohibition in the United States in the 40s, when a lot of millionaires committed suicide because of what happened to the economy and all that, and it was very bad. But the same prohibition, the same period also produced some of the millionaire families that we know today. Some of them were doing funny things like producing illicit alcohol and all that, but they kept looking inward, they kept looking around them, and they kept investing in things that would keep their businesses going. And like I said, there are new learnings, new businesses. Many businesses have realized that they can operate differently, they can reduce costs. We're going to look at services. If all you've been doing is advertising, can you invest in the food business, fast food business, all kinds of things? I'm just using all of this as an example. But critically, you have to carry your staff along, especially if you're in the advertising trade. You have to carry them along. Our biggest assets are our staff. They are our people. Whatever is happening, carry them along, make them share part of the responsibilities, let them know what the situation is, let them know what to expect. A lot of people will have to sacrifice, it is inevitable. And above all, let all of us keep our fingers crossed and trust God completely.
Thank you very, very much, sir. This was very, very impactful. I know that all of us have a lot of things we gained here. We really, really appreciate it. This is an eye-opener for us, and I know that we'll go back, sit down, rethink everything you said, and put it into practice. Thank you very much, sir. We're very happy that you're here. You came here with us. You took our time to join us. Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
And since we are talking about what else businesses can do during this period, I'll send my my dollar account number in my bank to you. I can credit you with hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let me thank you for, more serious, let me thank you for inviting me. I'm glad that conversations are going on, and we pray that it works out for us and for other countries as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And I want to say a special thank you for everyone that joined us today. We really, really, really appreciate you. Thank you for taking out time for joining us. I think that you have an amazing day, and please stay safe. Please stay safe.
Okay.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.